Good evening, everybody. Happy Friday. 5 days in a row. A whole work week worth of streams. Sunny, thank you so much for the 6 months. Or, excuse me, 14 months. In the tier 2. Very, very much appreciate that. Thank you so much. A full-time streamer now. If you could believe, there was a time where I used to stream every day for like 8 to 12 hours a day. (2015) to like 2017, 2018. Those were the golden nub years. Now I'm just old and sick and trying my best. But hope everybody's doing well. Temporal Fry, what's up? Missed last night's stream. How far did we get? We're still very early in Woodside Apartments. Super early in Woodside. We just met Laura. Like when she steps on James's hand and runs off down the hallway. Locomo, yippee! Welcome back. Thank you so much for the 46 months. Just woke up from a nap just in time. Nice. I'm actually starting early tonight. Not sure how long I'm gonna go. But it's another off day for me. Last night and this morning was a little bit rough in terms of my health. And I didn't forget medication this time. It's just been difficult. I'm not sure what the actual issue is, but I'm still having a lot of problems with pain and numbness on my left side. Like my left arm, my left leg has been really, really bad the last couple days. I'm still like going out during the day in the sun and walking and trying to exercise and stuff, and it's still just some days it's fine, and then last couple days it's been really bad. So I've got a appointment with the doctor next week. We're going to be doing some tests to check my nerves and see if they can isolate and figure out if it's nerve damage and what type of nerve damage and what potential treatment it could be if it's nerve damage, or a pinched nerve or sciatica or any number of things. I don't want to self-diagnose because that just kind of feeds into the health anxiety, and that's a whole nother set of issues. But it's been a bit of a rough day. Weren't you allergic to coffee? How did you get through 8 to 12 hours of streaming without caffeine? I'm not allergic to caffeine. Weirdly enough, like caffeine allergy is much more common than coffee allergy. I can still drink sodas and energy drinks, and sodas were my big vice for a very long time. When I was streaming at that point, I was drinking lots of soda, the occasional energy drink. I've never been too big on energy drinks, but I did get them every once in a while. But mostly just sodas and insomnia. That was the main thing getting me through those years. 8 to 12 hours of streaming, and 8 to 12 hours of streaming was like a regular stream. back in those days. Every weekend or every other weekend, I would do marathon streams. And those were usually like 20 to 25 hours, where I would sit down and just do a story playthrough, a super in-depth story playthrough, all in one sitting. Or I would play multiple games, or lots of different things for the marathons. But yeah, those were usually like 20 hours or more. Soda is many a fool's cruel mistress, as it is mine. It was mine for a very long time. I've given it up now. I've given it up. I really don't drink sodas anymore. Since I've been having to fix my health and everything pretty seriously over the last month, I think in total, in the last like 6 weeks, I've had maybe 4 sodas spread out across 6 weeks. And I usually don't finish them. Now you would drop dead if you ever try a 24-hour stream? Yeah, probably. I can't manage that anymore. My heart might actually just stop. Especially if I tried that in the condition I'm in right now. That much sitting and not moving and staying awake and alert and talking and everything. Nah. Taken to sparkling water and Mio and Crystal Light. I've mainly just been sticking to this water. I've been sticking to plain water or the Gatorade Zero Sugar. Gatorade Zero Sugar, the powder that you just mix in with water, or some electrolytes, my tiny bit of sodium that I get per day, and a little extra kick of potassium, but otherwise just water. Ancient Oleander. Thank you so much for subbing. Really, really appreciate the love and support. Thank you, thank you. Crystal Light for real. Gatorade Zero, my love. Yeah. Yeah, my wife is all about the Crystal Light. Oops. The Crystal Light and the Mio liquid that you like drop in. Although not so much anymore. She used to drink a lot of that. But a lot of times I just do plain water. And then like once or twice a day I'll do the Gatorade mix maybe. Hope you feel better soon, mate. Thank you. I'm trying. I'm doing what I can. Weird question, but tipped at the start of March. Yes, so let me pull that up because I don't use like stream elements or anything like that anymore. So I don't have anything to like... I don't have any way to have alerts for tips and things like that right now. But I do remember... Let me go through these right now, actually. April 25th. Minimoto. I don't know if you're here, but maybe you'll see the VOD. Said, hey Nub, praying you feel better soon. I hope this little bit helps. and sent a $50 tip back on April 25th. Thank you so much, Minimoto, for that. CTs had sent a $100 tip back March 22nd. Thank you very, very much. Again, this has all been basically going right back into like the medical bills and stuff for the last month, but that has been a massive, massive help for us. Eerie Ghosts. Eerie Ghosts, here's yours, March 3rd. With, I think it converted maybe from another currency, or you did some extra to cover for fees, but PayPal, like, it shows $103.48 with your name as the message, just so that I can know that it was you. Thank you so much, Eerie Ghosts. I very, very much appreciate that. You basically paid for my first round of blood tests with just that. So thank you so much. That is a huge, huge help. Like, you don't even know. Very, very much appreciate it. But yeah, I need to figure out a system. Maybe I can just start doing this, manually look them up at the start of streams, and kind of go over people who've been tipping and stuff until I can figure out alerts again. I might just set it up through Stream Elements like I was doing before, but I was having issues with them. That's why I stopped using them in the first place, and there hasn't really been a whole lot of alternatives. Sunny, thank you for gifting a sub to Eerie Ghosts. Thank you so much, Sunny. Very, very much appreciate it. Again, you guys literally keep me going day after day. You're helping me get healthy right now and get through this rough time. And it means a lot to me. It means a lot that I've been able to have the time to rest and see doctors, get meds, and adjust to them and everything like that. Start fixing my diet and exercise and all that. And be at a point now where I can stream again. And start working on videos again. Made a lot of progress on the Silent Hill 1 Iceberg video. So that's finally in the like editing stages, final editing stages. After script writing and revisions and research and narration recording and footage recording, because I just do playthroughs and gather all my own footage that way. Try and get very specific things for what I'm explaining on this one. So finally at the point where I'm putting it all together and editing. So hopefully that'll be coming up before too long. Get that out to you guys. Finally watching your first playthrough of the remake, was avoiding it for a long time. Didn't want you influencing my opinions while I did my own runs. Yeah, no, I think that's honestly the best way to approach it. Of course, everybody's different. You can always do what you want. But, yeah, I always want people to, if they can, experience a game for themselves first, rather than just watching a playthrough, especially a playthrough like mine. Most people are not gonna have a lot of the same. They're not gonna process it the same way, like unless you're also like me, you know, a fan for the last like 25 years. Because if you're also an obsessive fan like that, then yeah, we might share a lot of those opinions. But for a lot of people where, you know, you haven't played a whole lot of the games in the series, or maybe you've only played Remake, there's a lot of stuff that I'm gonna complain about or point out or bring up that's honestly not like even going to be noticed or relevant for the majority of people just playing and enjoying the game. That Budgie guy, thank you so much for the Prime. 3 months. Hope you're doing well tonight, Budgie. Thank you. Oh, my throat is rough tonight. Dating, you said you're enjoying the remake more and more as time passes. Same. I've already gotten a lot more appreciation for this game. Like, I already enjoyed it, and I'm getting a lot more appreciation for it while we do this cam hack playthrough. Just kind of seeing a lot of the work and effort that went into the environments and just kind of how the game's put together, character models and things like that. Yeah, it just has to be treated as its own thing. And I know that's like the hardest thing in the world to separate for a lot of people when it comes to remakes and stuff like that. But just viewing it as its own thing, it's a great game. It's a really, really, really solid job from Bloober. But I definitely wouldn't call it a replacement. I would still suggest to anybody that if you're interested in the remake, or if you liked the remake, that you should seek out the original. Either through... I know that's not the easiest thing in the world. That's the biggest problem, is that there's not that same availability for Silent Hill 2 OG. But seriously, get the PC version for free from My Abandonware, or download it and emulate it. Just play it. Just whatever you can do. Most cell phones can run a PS2 emulator like almost flawlessly now. Sync it up to your TV, hook up a Bluetooth controller. You can play it with your phone, however you can play it. Play Silent Hill 2 original. Because if you're a fan of the remake and you've never played it, I think you'll really enjoy it. And it will make a lot of things that are in the remake make more sense to you. Because there's so much of the remake that absolutely relies on the player already being aware of Silent Hill to some degree. In some cases, very specific references, very, like, relatively obscure things. Just in what I found around in the environments and stuff already, there's some really obscure stuff that they make little nods to and references to in the remake, where clearly that's put there for the diehard nerds like me, but I'm like, this is a lot of that stuff. I'm like, this has got to go over the heads of 90% of the people who play the game, even people who are somewhat familiar with the original and played it, you know, years ago or whatever. Can someone play Silent Hill 4 for me and cam hack so I can study Richard's ghost model because it's too scary? That is something that I do want to do at some point. The cam hack that I had set up for Silent Hill 3 was not just specific to Silent Hill 3. I found another cam hack that is basically made to work with a whole bunch of PS2 games, not just specifically Silent Hill 3. And Silent Hill 4, I believe, was compatible. So, at some point, I do need to set that up. And we'll do a free cam through Silent Hill 4. Now, that's something that a lot of people have already done in the past, and I kind of already know what stuff is there. But it would still be fun to do a playthrough of that and look at a lot of it myself and show people some of that stuff live. Especially the staircases. So there's those spiral stairwells when you're going in the second half of the game from revisiting each of Walter's worlds with Eileen. And you've got to run down those long spiral staircases. The camera is like super locked in, so you can only see a few of the things around those stairwells. There's a lot of stuff going on in those areas in Silent Hill 4 that unless you have a cam hack, you don't get to see it, at least not very clearly. So there's a lot of things like that in Silent Hill 4. But it's also cool to see the behavior of things from different perspectives. Like Henry's neighbors taking a cam hack and like flying all the way over into the apartments through the window and kind of seeing what those models are doing up close. And how many things are actually rendered in those little areas for being so far away. There's a lot of cool stuff in Silent Hill 4 to look at with a cam hack. So it's definitely something that I want to do at some point. So excited? I mean, don't get too excited. We still have like a month and a half of Silent Hill 2 remake cam hack to do. Let's go ahead and get to that. We still have a lot of Silent Hill 2 remake. Because I am taking my sweet time. I've been playing this since Monday for like 3 hours a day. And we're just barely in. We're just barely in the Woodside Apartments. As always, I need to like adjust my audio. I don't know why Silent Hill 2's audio always doesn't, never plays nice. Never plays nice with OBS. It's always like super loud or super quiet. I have to adjust it like every time. All right. Day 5. The Silent Hill 2 Remake Cam Hack Playthrough. We've taken a good look at like the courtyard, a lot of the apartments and things so far. The one room that's like a recreation of James and Mary's home. We saw how the game reacts to teleporting to the other side of the bars and picking up the key from Laura. And it just kind of plays the cutscene and spits you back out. We're kind of starting an area. Take a moment inside James's head, quite that closely. As we kind of get to each major area, I just want to take note of how James looks, because his model changes progressively throughout the game. Like right now, his fingernails are still clean. That's gonna change soon. The black ooze from Saul Street apartment is still there from touching the door with the mysterious leaking substance on it. So all these little details about everything we've done so far. Gotta check out all the toilets. Every last one. Shampoo. SZ shampoo. Head and feet. Instead of head and shoulders, got your head and feet. Is that supposed to be kind of a joke? Nourishes hair naturally for enhanced shine. I mean, we've had the mannequins introduced in this area. They have no heads, but many feet. So many of these areas, I know it's fairly standard, kind of typical apartment layout stuff, but things like this are very, very similar to Silent Hill 4. Just kind of in the way that they're designed, where you have the bar area with the stools, stove and the oven on that side, sink on this side, fridge there. Very similar to Henry's kitchen layout. There's a few different things in the apartment that are kind of like that. Very similar layouts for living rooms, kitchens, bathrooms. It's a BIM hood. Cooking code. Stuffed or unstuffed turkey. Lasagna. Pork roast. Oven has printed on instructions for cooking things. Do you think the first apartment where we find a Polaroid is reminiscent of Frank's apartment? Frank Sunderland's apartment in Silent Hill 4? I mean, we'll get there. We'll take a look at it. Kind of compare. Photos of people. Of course, all edited, and these sort of effects where it looks like the paint is running down. Um, Really, it reminds me that Bloober Team made Layers of Fear. These kind of effects, this type of editing on photos and artwork, they got a lot of experience doing this kind of stuff in Layers of Fear and Layers of Fear 2. Got these very particular handles. Hands holding balls. And I think I've seen some other fans post pictures of like actual door handles or like not like door knockers that look like this, look very similar to this. Kind of a creepy design. Golden apple handle. James is doing the bendy thing. Bendy finger. And of course that opens up, revealing the wedding dress. Little subconscious reminder to James. Try to remember your wife or your marriage. All these things that he's potentially blocking out or not accurately thinking about. Anything that reminds him of Mary. Let's see if there's anything else interesting. This closet here. In the dress itself. Nothing else in here except for these jackets. Already seen some other spots. Okay. And nothing rendered there. Go back and look inside some of these apartments. There's stuff in here. Just got lying figure right on the other side of the door. Bugs back here. That's interesting. Give us a little bit of an idea which doors will potentially go through. I know, James. I need to get the pistol so I can get him to put the chainsaw away. Second floor hallway key. Yeah, key items. He always has the pinky finger. Going crazy. He's elegant. Yeah, pinky's out. Yeah, doing his elegant pose. (10 past 9), 15 seconds, just like the other clocks we've been finding. Trying to take note of specifically which ones don't have that time, because there's not that many. Pasteurizer blender again. Jar-shaped things with no light bulbs in them. Monsterizer stand mixer. Coffee. Thing in it. We've got the piano, redwood, no branding or anything on the guitar. All the little details in the scuffed surface and cracks in the wood and everything. Yo, Bakba soup. Bach, thank you so much for that raid. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Let me tell you what I'm doing, what this playthrough is, who I am real quick, so that you can be like, you're doing what? And then click away. I'm Nub Zombie. I'm a super obsessed Silent Hill fan. I've been streaming on Twitch since 2011 and been streaming mainly Silent Hill content for the last 10 years. I do super in-depth, very well-researched story playthroughs, challenge runs, speed runs for all the Silent Hill games in the series. And we're currently doing a cam-hacked Silent Hill 2 Remake playthrough. So I've got this mod here where I can take the camera wherever I want, teleport James around wherever I want. And we are very slowly and meticulously going through and looking at everything. We're trying to look at every little detail in the environment. We're clipping out of bounds and finding Easter eggs and references that Bloober Team hid around in this game. So, welcome, welcome. If that sounds like your kind of thing, you're in the right place. Bach, thank you so much for that raid, dude. And Sunny, thank you so much for the 10 gift subs. Going out to the community. Thank you, thank you. And then Willboy with 10 more subs. Going out. Prasphere, Yoshio, Casti, Can of Snails, Nihil, Misery Claude, Sir Samiam, Samiam, Kabisama, Waflausages, Pastry Fun Tube, Coffer 81, Undead Warrior, Dean, Van Moogle, John Pedro JP, Dating TV, Drizzer TV, Jurgles 90, Icaro7, and Bulk Holdoi. Enjoy those subs. Courtesy of Willboy and Sunnyama. Thank you guys. What's up, Agent? Yeah, I just started a little bit sooner tonight. Mostly this week I've been sticking to starting at 9 p.m., but we haven't been going for very long. Yeah, welcome everybody. Like I said, we are just going through here. We've got some more records. Esoteric Flowers. Let me get James over there for the light. Sunny, thank you for gifting a sub to Bach. And thank you again so much for the raid, Bach. Miss you, dude. Hopefully we can get out to an event or something and catch up. It's been way too long. I have a great picture of me and Bach. I don't know if he would want me to show it, though. Might not be safe for Twitch. From the last time we met. Is there anything you can infer about the sheet music nub? So, I've talked about this during the story playthroughs, but a lot of the sheet music, it just kind of fits thematically with a lot of the moments going on in the games, or sometimes kind of towards characters themselves. So I can't play the music. I did that for previous pieces, but so this one, Einsamblümen, which is Lonely Flowers. There's a lot of floral patterns when it comes to Mary. She's covered in a blanket with a forget-me-not floral pattern on her dress, which we just saw last stream on the mannequin. Same thing for the wallpaper and stuff in their house. So Mary also played piano herself. It's a detail that is mentioned in both the original and the remake, although it's a little bit harder. I guess it's optional in both. In the OG, if you examine the piano in Lakeview Hotel, you get the dialogue where James talks about Mary used to play piano. She wasn't very good at it, but I still love to hear her play. In the remake, there's a point where Maria, shortly after you meet Maria, she is sort of pressuring James to talk more about Mary. And James finally kind of stops and is like, okay, has a little bit of conversation with her and mentions Mary playing piano. So the idea of Mary playing piano being something that's important to both her and to James as a memory of her, and then having these sort of somewhat thematic songs, either through the title or through the piece itself, kind of fitting the same mood of the scene that's going on. Like, if you play these songs as you find them and sort of listen to them at the moment in the game where you find it, a lot of times it sort of fits. Maybe that's me looking into it a little more than I should, but that's kind of what I do. We also have a lot of broken records here. Which, the very first puzzle you have to solve going through the town is repairing a jukebox and a broken record, which restores a memory of James and Mary in Rosewater Park. So the idea of music connecting to James's memories and his memories being broken like the records has already been thematically a thing. Sly Hannah, thank you so much for the 6 months in advance. Thank you so much, Hannah. Very much appreciate that. Locket. We actually have different albums here too. We went through Groovy Music, the music store that's in the town, on one of our previous streams and looked at all the album covers. I think some of these are different. 80s dance songs. Was 80s dance songs in I Love Groovy Music? I don't think it was. Like some of these, I'm pretty sure were in there. I think these back ones were, but I don't know about the 80s dance one. Fake was. Hearthlands Atlanta was. Those were there. But that 80s dance one I don't remember seeing. FM Bearden, thank you so much for the 42 months. Thank you guys so much for the love and support. I've been having some health issues lately, so all the support especially means a lot to me right now, because it's basically all going to go right to medical bills. But thank you very much. Oh, we get some of Laura's drawings we can look at a little bit closer now. Since we just met Laura, she stepped on our hand, called us a baka. I'm playing the game in Japanese once we get to some cutscenes and stuff, and before that catches everybody off guard. We're going to get to a cutscene, and James is going to be like, Mary, dokoda? And everyone's going to be like, what? What? Nani? But Laura is going around doing graffiti, which is a crime, vandalizing these places. But she's telling a little story as she does. She's telling kind of the memory of her and Mary and how she feels about James in some of the later ones that we see. But we see a lot of these drawings of like small bunny, larger bunny, representing herself and Mary. They were friends in the hospital. And then later there's a dog that starts off angry and then eventually becomes friendly. And that's sort of the way that she perceives James in her little interpretive drawings. But first one of our Laura drawings that we get to look at there. Clipdoor, thank you so much for the 2 months. Appreciate the primary sub. I'm not going to read that fun fact. Thank you. Metropole Modern. Thank you so much for the prime sub. Very much appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. But then we've got another drawing. Same bunnies. Separated now. And little bunny is sad. So this is in Mary's letter to Laura. She explains to Laura that she's going far away to a beautiful place. Mary is trying to explain to Laura that she's dying, but Laura, she's just a little kid. She doesn't interpret it that way. Mary told Laura lots of stories about her time during her vacation in Silent Hill with James. How nice it was. How beautiful it was. So when Laura reads, I'm going far away to a beautiful place in Mary's letter, she thinks that Mary means she's going to Silent Hill. So she's depicting Mary going away across the water, being far away now, and Laura being sad, wanting to see Mary. She wants to go find Mary, just the same way that James is. Why the whole "are you blind or something" comment when James refers to her as a little girl? They actually changed that up a little bit for the remake. The dialogue's a little different. And I think they're just trying to kind of convey the same idea, but maybe with a little bit more easily understood dialogue. But I think just the main way to interpret that is that Laura is not seeing the town the same way that James is. So James referring to, you know, the town being dangerous and then saying, "What's a little girl like you doing here anyway?" She's not saying, "Are you blind?" in reference to the little girl part. She's saying, "Are you blind?" in reference to the "it's dangerous" part. The dialogue, the way it's written, is just a little clunky in the OG. And they do change that up a little bit for the remake. And Laura is real. Developers and supplementary materials have confirmed that Angela, Eddie, Laura, they're all intended by the developers to be real people. They're not figments of James's imagination. They are not symbolic manifestations. Maria is confirmed by Masahiro Ito, original games lead artist, creature designer, among many other things. But Maria is confirmed by Ito to not be real. That she is a manifestation. But everyone else is meant to be real people. But they're all perceiving reality in different ways. They're not seeing the same monsters. They're not seeing the same town. In the case of people like Laura, she's not seeing any monsters at all. But she's also not necessarily seeing the real town either. Just an empty one. Because if you think about, like, what would be in the real town, the hotel, at the end of the game, it doesn't actually look the way that James says it does. He says it hasn't changed, you know, in 3 years since he was there on his vacation with Mary. But it has. In that time, it burned down. But Laura is still running around that same hotel, the same way James is. So even though there's no monsters around for her, she is still seeing James's delusion version of the hotel, or some version of the hotel that exists enough for her to, like, run around it. Is James gay? Uh, I think. Oh my god, someone actually tweeted that. That reminds me. Somebody tweeted that at Masahiro Ito. And he responded with something like, he's an idiot. Like, his sexuality is idiot. It was something along those lines. I Stay High 86, thank you so much for the 15 months. Thank you, thank you. Very much appreciate it. Is that what it was? Ancient Oleander, stop asking me if James is gay. He is idiot. That sounds right. We've seen this bear a few times now. Again, a little bit of Laura reference. So we'll see a similar stuffed bear in Brookhaven where we get the bent needle. And we also encounter Laura in Brookhaven. In the Born from a Wish sub scenario, which was a little side story that came with later releases of the original Silent Hill 2, where you play as Maria, there's a bit of dialogue when you are exploring a child's bedroom where Maria finds a stuffed bear and she's like, oh, a stuffed bear. Laura loves teddy bears. She would love this. And then she kind of has a moment of like, who's Laura? Like, why do I know this information? It's a realization moment for Maria that she has Mary's memories, and it's sort of confirming that to the player, but it also tells you a little bit about Laura, that she likes bears and teddy bears. Um, so it's interesting that we've got all these little bear dolls and things now that we've encountered Laura showing up in the environments. These old kids' toys. Do you think she's a manifestation of Mary rather than James? Again, developers have confirmed that Laura's not a manifestation at all. She's real. I meant Maria? Oh, that Maria is a manifestation of Mary and not necessarily James. I think it's a combination. Like, a lot of aspects of Mary are there. And if you think about it, like, the way the story is written, James came to Silent Hill to take his own life after killing Mary. Mary's body is in the car, in the back seat with him when you first arrive. So Mary is physically there. She's in the town. She's dead, but she's there with James, which is how the town is able to manifest a lot of those aspects. Please deliver these to Mrs. Millie from 102. I'm really worried about her. She's been cooped up all alone with his belongings for days on end. She won't even move them, and God forbid anyone else touch God forbid anyone else touch anything. It's breaking my heart just thinking about it. So the idea of a widowed woman, one of the people staying in the apartments, and a gift basket. Somebody said the pens look like arrows. They kind of do. It's pointing to the basket. What's in the gift basket? It's canned spaghetti. Giuseppe Napoli spaghetti. That's your gift basket? In this box. Nothing. Decorative tin, 2 cans of spaghetti, and some flowers. Sorry your husband died. Here's some canned spaghetti. I couldn't be bothered to boil water and make you like a home-cooked meal or something. Not like spaghetti's hard to make. Your note says that, you know, you're concerned, but your effort says otherwise. Nice Dutch oven, though. I've been checking all these models of TVs. This is another Magnavox. You don't want Magnavox. You want Magnavox. Better. Zebra, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Thank you, thank you. When James is crawling through tight spaces, why does he have that stupid look on his face? Yeah, what Ancient said. He's stupid. That's confirmed from Ito. He is idiot. And stay down. Alright, second floor hallway. Although we have not gone through these doors yet. Before we do that, checking all these apartments, seeing if there's anything rendered in them. Even the ones that you're not able to access. Because there are deliberate Easter eggs that Bloober has hidden around in this game. We've already found several of them. There's a Comic Sans Silent Hill Ranch sign hidden in one of the barns when you're walking into town. A jab at the HD collection. There's some VHS tapes for the movies Shoot and Crusher Dan, which were theater movie posters in Silent Hill 1 that used Raiders of the Lost Ark and Die Hard 2 as their movie posters. Very obscure little Easter egg from Silent Hill 1, and then it's referenced in an even more obscure Easter egg in this game, so... Go Valentine's Day. There's a hidden message. If you take all of these photos as you find them, so like this one's number 4, you would put it 4th in line. And then in each photo, there is a particular subject, and you count the number of subjects in the photo, and you take that corresponding number to that letter in the phrase written on the photo. So like this would be photo or letter number 4. There's one vase of flowers, one bouquet of flowers. So you take the first letter, which is V. So that's part of a larger overall message. If you find all of them, put them in order, do that same process. It spells out the message, "You've been here for 2 decades." This room, do you think it looks like Frank's room? Let's see. Because, like, when I speedrun Silent Hill 4, there's not a whole lot that I do when I go in Frank's room. Go in. The kitchen, I'm trying to think, because his is a little different from the layouts of the others. The kitchen's on the right side when you come in through the door. And I mean, this does have that same Silent Hill 4 uh, kitchen layout, same as Henry's, with the bar, the oven, the sink, the fridge, kind of in this order. You go into Frank's bedroom, you look at the posters on the wall, and you get the mailbox key and one of the apartment keys. Got some more blurred out images and things there. Ancient Oleander, thank you so much for gifting a sub to Temporal Fry. Thank you, thank you. Very, very much appreciate that. All these messed up photos, blurred faces. Again, Bloober Team likes their artwork with distortion edits and stuff over it. They did a lot of that in Layers of Fear. I mean, Frank didn't have a wheelchair or a walker or a cane. It's like this is the apartment of the note was referencing, the widowed woman where they said her husband died, like an elderly couple. He said there were belongings they had piled up that they didn't want to move. That's something that is here that would tip us off to this being that place. Just this stuff. Shirts, jeans, and socks. Or sucks. Handles, posters, clothes. I mean, I feel like the apartments in this game much more closely resemble the Silent Hill 4 apartments in general. There's not a whole lot here that makes me feel like Frank specifically. But the way the rooms are laid out, the type of decor, there's definitely a lot of apartments like this. In fact, like the older looking TVs and dinner trays, the curtains and stuff. There's one of the other tenants in Ashfield Heights where it's like there's an artist in Ashfield Heights who paints portraits of everybody who lives in the building and sort of describes them. And one of them is like an overweight woman with a lot of cats. Her apartment kind of has this like older decor looking stuff in it. Gotta have your little porcelain knickknacks. Creepy children holding fruit with chickens. This is absolutely something that, like, my mother would have had in her kitchen. Because it's got chickens on it. These shitty window AC units. I've used these many, many times throughout my life. They're always a pain in the ass. They're super heavy. They're hard to get mounted in your window properly. They never seal up the right way. They'll like leak water and shit where all the condensation builds up. Thankfully have a nice home with working AC now. This is supposed to be like some kind of little container. This the like sewing kit container? Or maybe for film, like a film canister, since it's next to the camera. Not the kind of film, or maybe a lens holder, lens case. Some of the same books that we've seen around. Medical dictionary, recipes. A lot of these same ones have been repeated. It's this one that says like mortal something. Mental something. Too bad I don't have a better... Oh, is that the medical ethics and etiquette? No, that's a different book. That's this one behind it. Hmm. I don't have a lot of very fine control over this mod. Like if you barely touch anything, it just zooms in that direction. Nub, what was James's career before all this? Yeah, it's very nondescript. In some of the supplementary materials, it just says that he was a clerk. It doesn't specify, like, in an office, at a grocery store, like, at a gas station. It just says clerk. And it's even less descriptive in the North American release of Silent Hill 2 OG. If you look up his occupation, it just says protagonist in the manual. Literally, his job is protagonist. All right. Head up. Cousin used to tell me James was a postman. Turns out he got confused with Jacob's ladder. It happens. Common mistake. Third, this hallway here. Yeah, it's key. Wait till we get around there the normal way. trying not to break the game too much by just teleporting around. Because if I really want to, like, and though this is not unlocked, I can just do this. But I need to be somewhat careful so I don't break anything crucial, because we've already seen, I was kind of playing around with that last time. And you can sequence break to a point where the game just kind of stops working, stops loading and rendering stuff around you, so it's fun to mess with. I'm gonna try not to skip over stuff. Okay. But some things we just have to check. Because now we're here with our boy Pyramid Head. Over here glowing, as he does. Setting off your radio. Making James pull out the saw like he's gonna do something about it. Which is exactly what I want to try. Nothing personal, kid. Teleports behind you. He has no collision. And he's suspiciously the same height and build as James. Get a chance to put the damn saw down. Stand up normal. So, Pyramid Head's a manifestation. He is essentially James manifesting his own desire for punishment in the form of one of the town's historical executioners. Or a very, very distorted version of one of those historical executioners. So, James himself is projecting Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head represents James desiring punishment for what he has done. So, in some ways, James is his own punisher. He is Pyramid Head, in the least literal sense I could possibly emphasize. Bloober Team took that concept, that idea that has been around since the original game, and they went one step further with it. So, back then, you know, your models were basically all rendered. There was still mocap to do, like, animations and stuff, but your models were not, like, very closely based on your actors. These days, you basically take an actor and scan them in, and, like, they are the character. So Pyramid Head and James are both the same actor. The mocap for both of them is Luke Roberts, who is the mocap, the actor playing James. And of course voicing him in the English dub, which we're not going to hear. But it's the same actor mocapping James and Pyramid Head. So you also see that similarity between the same actor playing both of these characters, essentially, just in their stature and their figure and everything. But it also plays nicely into the idea that Pyramid Head is kind of a reflection of James. He is the side of James, the subconscious part of James that desires punishment. Having him play both roles was another example of them understanding the source material. I agree. That was definitely something that I feel like Bloober Team did intentionally, not just to like save money. Like, oh, we don't have to hire another actor. And like, no. I think they legitimately wanted to do that as an intentional thing, to have that parallel between James and Pyramid Head. And again, they had members of Team Silent, Masahiro Ito and Akira Yamaoka were working with Bloober Team on this game. I know they ran a lot of stuff by Ito to make sure that it was in line with the team's original ideas and visions. Pyramid Head's got a weird little valve in his design here. He used to have a tentacle, a weird little noodly appendage that would come out of a slot on his helmet in the original game. They switched that out to be this, which when I first saw it in like the designs and the artwork and stuff, yeah, it looks sort of like a valve sticking out. Looking at it from this way, it looks more like something that was shot into him. It looks like something that was impacted into the head. And yeah, you can really see the texture and stuff on the helmet. Very leathery. Like football leather almost. The detail of the rust on the edges of the helmet looks so great too. All the touches of white and different tones in there from the different levels of oxidization. I will say, as much as I do love a lot of the designs and stuff in this game, very small complaints. And I've said this about the other creatures too. I feel like in the original game, it was much harder to tell sort of where skin and flesh ended and where cloth and like clothing and stuff began. Everything sort of blurred and blended together. And I mean, a lot of that is going to be a result of being a PS2 game. Like, those textures were just not very high fidelity. The TVs and monitors we were playing on back then were also not very high def. You know, playing on a CRT with those levels of textures, everything is going to kind of smudge together. But it always painted this mental image for me of the manifestations. You can't really tell, like, what part of them is cloth and what part of them is skin. And in the new designs, like, you get that much higher fidelity for everything. And I kind of don't like the more clear, distinct, here is gloves, you know. Kind of looks like the dirt mask is not aligned properly. Also, I just noticed you can see the thumbnails and like wrinkles in the skin through the gloves. It's like a super thin white latex glove instead of like a fabric one or anything. You can even see where it's like sticking to his hand. Yeah, much more in line with like medical gloves. He also distinctly has his fingers. You can see all that a little bit more. In the original game, it was hard to tell like how his hand was fused. And now you can really see like each individual finger sort of stuck in the glove. The glove doesn't have these fingers separated. Really cool details. Got his little cushion in the back of his head. Reposition the light here. This is one of those things that's always kind of been slightly changed from design to design with Pyramid Head. Even in Ito's own artwork of Pyramid Head, this, like, part of him changes a lot. It used to, in older designs, it used to seem a lot more fleshy. And sort of like this big growth, tumor-like growth coming out from under it. But now, yeah, you can see there's another one of those little valves here. It's like an inflatable pillow. Like an inflatable cushion. Or like a hot water bag. Like those hot water bottles. Reminds me of Scottish bagpipes. Maybe it's bagpipes. Let me live. Maybe it's meant to be bagpipes. You can really see the way the harness for his apron, his smock, is put together. These leather belts with all the cracking and everything on them. I pointed out similar detail on James's own belt, where you can see all the little marks and notches and cracks in the old leather. We've got all these leather straps and everything holding this part, all just crisscross wildly. Not too dissimilar from the laces and rivets that we see on the lying figures. Pyramid Head does not have enough cake. So, -1 point for Bloober. They could have done him a little bit better in that department. It's just like Dead by Daylight all over again. For those who don't keep up with Dead by Daylight, there was a big controversy many years ago when they introduced the Silent Hill 2 chapter, or the Silent Hill chapter, with Pyramid Head as a killer. And they nerfed his ass. They updated the model and flattened out his ass. And a lot of people in Dead by Daylight were really mad. Boots. If these had the strap across the side with the buckle, these would look really similar to James's boots in the original. Like, James has very different looking boots in this game. He's got the, like, hiking boots. But in the OG, he's got these, like, motorcycle boots on. They're like Harley Davidson boots. With a strap and a buckle across them. And they look real similar to this. But yeah, I can really appreciate some good textures and model work Like, even if you're not a big fan of this game and you don't like the changes and, you know, whatever whatever your opinion may be on Silent Hill 2 Remake, Bloober can make some damn impressive models and textures. Especially considering outside of doing what I'm doing right now, like just in normal gameplay, you hardly ever get the chance to like look at this stuff up close or really appreciate it for like any kind of meaningful amount of time. Much fun as it is to sit there and stare at Pyramid Head, we have to move on. Gotta look at some other stuff. Although he will disappear. Did he already disappear? Okay. He will vanish at some point. We might be able to figure out when that is with the cam hack. It's probably as soon as I crawl through this. Let me see if I can, like, do this and then... Okay. Still there. Still there. Because at some point he's going to go away. Due to the ongoing renovation works, tenants are asked to keep out of the third floor of the building. Sincerely, Woodside Apartments Administration. Toluca. Build and services. There's a lot of great, like, instances of just really neat things. All the little brands, the local companies, and fake branding and stuff that they have for a lot of the things in the environment. They hide a lot of little Easter eggs and references in this kind of stuff. Yeah, build and renovation. Established 1955. We also get a lot of years in the newspapers and notes and signs and things like that around the town. Looking at them super close. We've seen everything from, like, I think the earliest we've seen might be the 1955. No, there was like an 1880 or 1890 something was Kent's Shoes, the shoe store. And the most recent date that we've seen is 1999. Kind of interesting seeing the wide range of dates in notes and signs and things, because it was never made specifically clear when Silent Hill 2 takes place. Even with the original, there's been some fan speculation on it, of course, and there's been vague mentions of things from developers. as far like Ito has mentioned that the aesthetic of the game is based on like the 70s and 80s, but there's also a lot of technology and particular things that wouldn't have existed until like late 80s, early 90s, as well as some car models and things like that. So it doesn't all line up exactly, but that's still kind of appropriate. Like time and reality and all of that is not to be trusted. How you perceive things is up for a lot of debate when it comes to these games. Can't really take your perspective as a player or as James as a protagonist. You can't. He's an unreliable narrator. He's not seeing reality. He's in a state of delusion. Can't trust what he's seeing, and thus you can't trust what you're seeing. Got a Black Devil toaster. Again, they've got lots of brand names like that. Monsterizer blender and stand mixer, Black Devil toaster. We saw a vacuum last stream that said like 666 made in hell. Okay. So before I keep going with the cam hack stuff, we're still going to cam hack and look around this room. I guess let me look at the gun before I pick it up. But there's something cool about this room that a lot of people might not realize. Oh yeah, there you go. There's his gun. It's a Blue Betta. It's not a Beretta. It's a 9mm Blue Betta from Bloober Team. Model 92 BT. Dulce Bellum. Read manual before use. Good old Blue Betta. And I really appreciate the 8 Mart shopping carts found around town. 8 Mart is a convenience store in Silent Hill 1. And it's fun seeing the little references to it in this game. But, okay. Cool thing about this room. So, when you're downstairs, you find a note where one of the tenants was complaining about somebody firing off a gun in this apartment. And the note basically says that management went and checked it out. The person didn't have any guns. There was no evidence that anybody had been shooting any guns. That their noise complaint was not correct. Now, let's assume that some people in reality sometimes perceive things that are happening in the other world, even though they're not in the other world. Like maybe they would hear a gunshot happening from a place, even though it's not actually happening in reality. And that's maybe what happened to this tenant. So then let's look at this. So we find the gun. So I want to check James's pose when we pick up the gun. The gun holding pose. Doesn't have his pinky out. So we get the gun. And you can see the apartment is like littered with bullet holes. There's a gun in a shopping cart right in the middle of the room. Clearly, if management came up and saw this, they wouldn't report back to the other person like there was no evidence of it. Now, with Silent Hill 2 Remake, there's a common theory. I'm personally not a fan of it, but let's humor it just for the sake of this discussion, called the loop theory. that James is doing all of these things over and over and over again and has been for many, many years, 20 years. And over the course of those 20 years, he's been up in this apartment, run up to this shopping cart, picked up this gun, and tested firing it every time, many times, countless times over those 20 years, which is what led to this eventually becoming all bullet riddled like this. These are all previous gunshots from James. So here's the neat thing: pick up some ammo, you load the gun, have everything reloaded, and if it's your first time playing this game, you're going to be testing out your controls because this is the first time you get a gun. So you're going to try right clicking or pressing the trigger to aim a few times around the apartment. Now, normally as a player, you're going to try to aim at like certain targets just to kind of see where the reticle is and how everything feels. And the most like obvious target out of everything in this room is going to be the TV. Now, I am only aiming. I am not left clicking. James accidentally fires the gun. It only will happen once. It's only right after you pick up the gun, fully reload it, and aim at the TV. I had this happen and I didn't even realize it was happening because I'm like, oh, maybe I just accidentally clicked the button or pulled the trigger. But then I started looking at other people's playthroughs and other people talking about this on like subreddits and forums and stuff. So it is a thing programmed into the game, and I came back and tested it, and sure enough, if you pick up the gun and aim at the TV without pulling the trigger, it will jump scare you by shooting the gun for you to make you think you've done it. That is such a cool thing. Even if you don't want to consider the loop theory aspect of it, like that's why the apartment is in this condition, because James keeps coming up here, picking up a gun and accidentally firing it. Just as a like jump scare, like that's built into the game, that's not going to happen to everybody, but it's going to happen to a lot of people because again, the psychology of what the player is doing at this moment is so like a lot of people are going to follow that same line of thought. You pick up the gun, it's the first gun in the game, you test the controls, you try aiming at something noticeable in the room, such as the TV, and it goes off. A lot of people are going to have that experience. So the fact that it's something that they programmed in, such a neat little thing. Definitely got some people to jump from that. Definitely got some people to check their controllers, look at their keyboards and mice and see if they did something. It's also just a sudden loud noise with the gun going off if you're not expecting it to go off. So, really cool way to implement a jump scare, especially in a way that it's not going to happen every time. It's not going to happen to everybody unless you know about it. Now we've got this entire room to kind of look at with the free cam. But I just want to talk about that. That's a really cool detail in this room. 28, 36, 1. Actually got like engravings in the shells. So much detail. These little items. random things. This poor gackless TV. Some natural food, bang, breakfast meat. We've seen cans of this around the town in our last few streams. Look at that, breakfast meat. Doesn't that look good? What I'm having for dinner. Nothing hiding in the paper bag. Yeah, we can already kind of looked over there. There was anything up here? Yeah, we looked in here. Trying to make sure I didn't overlook anything. Okay, all the furniture is stacked up here with the bullet holes. It's almost like someone barricaded themselves. Rendered in those little side areas. Now I've got a gun. Oh. And there's a sound of a scream. That's actually a sound effect from the original Silent Hill 2 that they just ripped and reused for the remake. I really like a lot of those key audio things, audio cues and atmospheric sounds from the original game. Just Bloober Team knowing to keep a lot of those and not like try to redo them. Keep that same original sound effect. That scream happens, and then we get our corpse in front of the TV, which is James. It's James's model. It was a lot more obvious in the original game, where you could see like the back of the character's head. Now they've got him covered up with a blanket, since you've got more control over the camera. Obviously, I'm using a cam hack, but even without that, you can rotate your camera by default a lot more in this compared to the original. So they wanted to kind of obscure the character model, I think, a lot more, and just chose to put a bloody blanket over him. Yeah, you can compare. There's the same boots, same jeans. And we can clip under. Try to clip under the sheet. Can't see too much of him. Does have a face. There's a shot. So it's like untextured, undetailed. But look at the shape of the nose, the shape of the head itself. That is James. What if all these bodies of James are previous attempts at finding what he was looking for, but this is the one where he succeeds? So that was a common theory back when the original Silent Hill 2 came out. And eventually there was developer commentary kind of stating otherwise. The idea from the developer's standpoint is that James came to the town to take his own life. He killed Mary, put her body in the back seat, drove to the town with the intention of killing himself. He had a mental break, and the town implanted a delusion where instead of that, he just thinks Mary's been dead for 3 years, and I got this letter, The letter turns out to not be real. Turns out she wasn't dead for 3 years. That was all part of the delusion, right? But James came to the town with the intention of killing himself, even though that's not what he believes anymore. So the idea that everything in the town is being influenced to James's perception by his own subconscious. He's blocking out the truth of what happened, but subconsciously his mind is being taken by the town's power and projecting things around the town to force him into recognizing the truth of what happened, why he was there. And the bodies that you find around town are supposed to be that aspect. James thinking about killing himself is in his subconscious. And it's being projected outward into the town through these corpses. But Bloober Team wanted to... There's an interview with Bloober Team devs where they said they did a ton of research on fan theories, and they wanted to include lots of references and nods to fan theories, even ones that they themselves didn't necessarily believe in. So they wanted to include nods and references to loop theory, since that was something that was around for the original game. Do you think the town is sentient, Nub? I do not. I'm on team the town is a mirror. The town is reflecting back to these people what is already in their minds. If they feel like they deserve punishment, it dishes out punishment. If they feel like they deserve, guilt, if they feel something, it is reflected back at them. If they think of something, it is reflected back at them. So that's where I am with it. I don't think the town is sentient and drawing people to it, feeding off of them, or forcing them to go through, these experiences. Nothing like that. I think the town is a spiritual place that is just able to do that for certain people. It acts just sort of like a mirror. Like, before there was Silent Hill, you have the Lost Memories book that you find in the original Silent Hill 2 that describes Native Americans believing that it was a holy place, a spiritual place where they could commune with their ancestors and the spirits of nature. That's what the Native Americans believed. So that's what the power in the area made real. They believed they were talking to their ancestors, so it made their spirits of their ancestors talk to them. They believed the spirits of the rocks and the trees and everything else were there communing with them, so that's what the power made real for them. And then when they were pushed out by the settlers, the European settlers, you have this new introduction of Christianity and Catholicism, the belief in devils, the belief in hell, and aspects of that begin to manifest. It's reflecting what those people believe. And then the cult forms, their beliefs change. So the town starts reflecting that. I don't think it's calling specific people here. I think people like James and Eddie might think that way based on their experiences. You have Eddie saying, like, this town called you too. I think to Eddie, it feels like that because of his experiences. But I don't think that that is literally what is happening. I think it taps them like they've been to the town before, right? Eddie's never been to Silent Hill before the events of this game. Eddie's never been here. Laura's never been here. Angela has been here. Potentially lived here. Also some skulls hidden in the artwork. This was something in the original Silent Hill 2 as well. A lot of artwork in the apartments has these skulls hidden in them. You can see the eyes and nose there. Oh, and this picture here, this is the Rebirth Church. So there's an island on Toluca Lake. You see a glimpse of it during the Rebirth ending. But there's this little church on that island when James is rowing out there with Mary's corpse for the Rebirth ending. And that's a image of that, which is based on a real church in, I want to say, Spain. I forget off the top of my head. Oh, we've got some books here. Pablo Gato, Pets Under Our Garden. A book about dead pets by Pablo Gato, which is Spanish for cat. New Damnation. We've seen this book in a few different places already. I think the Rebirth Church belonged to the cult. Personally, no. Based on Silent Hill 1, the altar, like the Balkan Church in Silent Hill 1 is a typical Christian church, right? And the cult altar, like ritual altar, is in a hidden room in a hole in the wall in the back of Dahlia Gillespie's antique store. The cult at that point was like secretive. They wouldn't have just like a church operating where people can see it. I personally would feel. I think their places of worship would have been kept hidden away. It, like with Silent Hill 3, it's not made explicitly clear where that church even exists, because you get to it by riding on a merry-go-round that is spiraling downward into the earth during the entire time that Heather is killing the horses and fighting the memory of Alessa. The island is kind of isolated, though. It still has like a dock on it. Anybody, like, you could argue that maybe it was kept private from your locals and your tourists, and only the cult accessed it. You could definitely argue that. I don't know for sure. I just speculate that it wouldn't be so obvious as like the one building on this one isolated island. I feel like it would be places that are kept hidden. Similar to the altar in Silent Hill 1. Apartment 212 key. Get a glimpse of the past here. This is the location of the original grandfather clock puzzle in the OG Silent Hill 1. Silent Hill 2, sorry. My brain's still on Dahlia Gillespie, her antique store. But you can see the original Silent Hill 2, there's a clock here. You have to get a key to open the clock and then turn the time to 10 past 9, 15 seconds. And only after that does it remove the nail that stops time and allow James to push the clock over to the side. So you can see where the clock was setting, where it's been pushed against the wall along the floor. The same wallpaper pattern as the original as well. And this part here where the molding and wall slats are all broken because there was a hole in the wall that James would squeeze through here. But because this has all been rearranged and moved for the remake, they just include this flashback glimpse of the past as a little reference. Pretty much all of the glimpses in the past in this game are references to something that the remake drastically changed. Like if they drastically moved something around or changed a puzzle, they usually reference it with a glimpse of the past. Holy shit, there's slats under the bed? The whole bed is that modeled? They put a whole damn bed frame in there. Can't even see it. So somebody said the pens look like an arrow, and now I'm recognizing that reused asset. Wherever the pens and the arrow formation are. Can't unsee it. Book. Sean Filter cigarettes. Possibly a reference to Sean Bean. We've seen these around the town. Sean Bean, one of the main characters in first Silent Hill movie. Mini Moto Dragon, thank you so much for gifting 5 subs out to the community. Thank you very much. Polite Burp, Red Fox I Am, S.A. Marquito, Ryan Rath, and S. Joe Time. Enjoy those subs. Courtesy of Mini Moto Dragon. Pyramid Head is gone now. Thank you so much for the support. Where has Pyramid Head gone? Hiding? Okay. And he never showed up again. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if they did a big dramatic reveal of Pyramid Head of a creature like that and then literally just never had him show up again? Is this the mirror that turns into a painting? I think this might be the mirror that turns into a painting when you shoot it. Right here, it's a broken mirror. Yep. Or maybe just a very reflective glass frame. But when you shoot it, it reveals this painting. Yeah. Some Easter eggs, huh? What painting is this? I forget. I'm not an art historian, unfortunately. I usually have to try to reverse image search a lot of this stuff. Let me see if I can... maybe search it real quick and find it. Because a lot of the artwork and stuff throughout the game, Francisco Goya, Vagabonds Resting in a Cave. Is that it? That might not be it. It does look like Francisco Goya, though. Possibly one of Goya's black paintings? Not sure. Not finding anything exactly the same. But a lot of times, Bloober likes taking actual existing pieces of historical artwork, maybe editing them slightly and using them in their games. They did that a lot for Layers of Fear. Do that here, but yeah. Sort of hidden behind the reflective glass. Now we have to shoot everything. See if anything else transforms. As far as I know, that's the only picture that does that. Plague Hospital by Goya. Is that it? Blue Blood? That is it. That's certainly it. Thank you. Plague Hospital. So that makes even more sense in the context of Brookhaven, which originally was established as a plague hospital. There was a plague that came through Silent Hill, and the hospital was first established to deal with people who were catching the plague, and then was eventually changed into a mental hospital. Mannequins are going to start playing peekaboo. Yeah, I can just put the chainsaw away now. Perfect. Look at this heater. Warning, electric heating tracing. Cane. Similar to the other apartment that we saw. Seen this belt in a few different areas. Starting to see the repeated assets a little more and more, but the thing is, like, the environments are so detailed, and most of these things are like tucked away where you're not even looking anyway. It's still really impressive how many things in the environment have detail, even with repeated stuff. Also, check out the stain, like silhouette of a person on the fold-out couch. It's not even a bed, like a fold-out couch. Yeah, definitely a stain. Shape of a person. If you could imagine Mary, the way she describes lying in her hospital bed and rotting away, staring up at the ceiling. There's another one on the wall. Rather than a stain on the bed, we have a stain on the wall. Is the sound we hear based off character or camera position? It depends on the sound. I've noticed a lot of things are just based on the character. Like, if I have the chainsaw out and zoom the camera super far away, you still hear the chainsaw really loud, like it's next to you. But then there's other things that seem to be source based. So it's like the object itself is giving off the sound and it gets louder or quieter based on the camera position. So it's kind of a mix. Another wall shadow. Another stain. Stains all over this house. This apartment. Get another mysterious photograph here. Career's humble beginnings. Part of the hidden message puzzle. It spells out, "You have been here for 2 decades." What nuke went off in this house? Yeah, that is an actual thing. With nuclear weapons, atomic weapons, like the ones used in Japan, World War II. You would find shadows of people and objects and things imprinted. How do you interpret the 2 decades thing? Because it's like an optional puzzle, it's a super hidden thing for players to find, not for James to solve, not for James to progress, but for you, the player, to see. I think it's a message from the devs to the players, the people who've been doing what I'm doing right now, looking around at these games at super great length, doing all this research, piecing things together, finding details and hidden things in the environment. We've been here for 2 decades. We've been doing this since the original came out in 2001. I think it's a message to us, not to James, not an indicator of loop theory. But if you're a fan of loop theory and that feels nice in your brain, don't let me tell you no. The devs themselves left it ambiguous. Bloober Team was asked about it on Twitter, and they did not confirm nor deny. They just left it ambiguous. Because somebody was like, damn, it's disappointing that loop theory is canon. And Matthias Lenart, the game director, responded, is it? With a question mark. So he left it ambiguous. I think it's more fun leaving it ambiguous like that, because if you don't like the loop theory and you're more in line with the original developer intentions and story as it's presented based on how the original was, like me, you can play this game and follow all of the things that you find with that mentality. If you like loop theory and other aspects like that, you can play the game and apply that to it and still enjoy it all, still have it make sense to you. So I think it's done in such a way that either works. I think they intended for that to be satisfying to everybody, but instead it's kind of caused the reverse. A lot of people arguing about it, but I think it's an interesting way to approach it. And I always think it's best when certain things are left fairly ambiguous. You need mystery and ambiguity and personal interpretation to really, I think, get the most out of Silent Hill games. Not just this one, but out of pretty much all of them. I think that's what makes these games stand out so much compared to a lot of other survival horror and psychological horror. That's part of the reason why discussion around them has still been active, even when the series itself was dead for many years. Got this Pamacrani TV. We've seen these in a few other places already. Whoops. Want to see what's up here in the vent? Okay. Just Googled it. Loop theory still doesn't make sense to me. That's okay. That just means you're on my team. You're on my side of the fandom war. Because I agree. I think, personally, here's why I don't like loop theory. I feel like it implies that James is the only character that matters. That the other characters who have been confirmed by the developers to be real, Eddie, Angela, Laura, it cheapens all of their stories to make the loop all about James. Even if it's just from his perspective or for the sake of the game, I don't like the way that takes away from those characters. Like, if James is looping through this and aging by 20 years, and that's why his model looks older compared to the original and all the stuff that goes into loop theory, that takes away everything from Laura. Like, Laura would also have to be going through that to be here in all of it. I did actually do a video on all of this on loop theory. It's only like 15 minutes long. It's not like most of my content that's hours and hours long. It's like a 15-minute video on my YouTube thing if you kind of want to hear a historic breakdown of loop theory, where it originated from, evidence from the developers against it, and kind of the whole way I feel about it and interpret things. But like I said, I don't want my feelings to and my interpretations to shut down somebody else's interpretations if that's what they like. Like, if loop theory makes the game more interesting to you and it inspires you to play the game through that mindset and just take an interest in it, to look into those details in general, then that's what matters. Like, that's what's cool. Getting more people into the fandom, digging into theories and digging into information just the same way I do. Nothing makes my interpretations any better or more valid than anyone else's. And I don't want people to have less fun and less interest in the game just because their personal theory or interpretation doesn't quote-unquote work, you know? Nah, didn't turn into a picture. Who needs guns when you have a chainsaw? Chainsaw's pretty good, except for when it doesn't want to lock onto a target that's like right in front of you, smacking in the face. Which happens. Oh, here we go. We got a radio. It's a Pagasonic. Power source. AC 60 hertz. Battery 6 volts. Bloober Electric Industries. Made in Japan. Even though Bloober's from Poland. There's the developers, Bloober team, sticking their name in there. There's a few places where they've done that. I can appreciate it. Not like it's in big obvious places. It's like stuff that you can only see cam hacking and looking at assets like this. Was there ever a big fan theory you believed but changed your mind on later? I would say this one fairly recent, like since I've changed my mind on this one. Alessa in Silent Hill 1. I think I used to be a big proponent of the boiler explosion was an accident. Alessa's heightened stress levels caused the fire in the Gillespie house, and that she was burned accidentally as a result of that. I'm leaning more towards Alessa was burned as intentional by Dahlia. Maybe not necessarily part of the ritual, but I think it was intentional, and that the boiler memo was the cover-up. I've switched teams on that one. I've been putting together a Silent Hill 1 iceberg and doing a lot of research and paying a lot of attention to the dialogue and stuff in context a little bit more closely. More than what you kind of do when you're just playing the game normally. And the way Dahlia describes Alessa's condition at when you're getting the good ending. Dahlia's got all of this dialogue about Alessa suffering a nightmare for 7 years in order to feed and grow the god. Her pain and suffering was a necessary thing for the god to grow, and the only reason it couldn't be born was she split her soul. So based on that dialogue from Dahlia describing what her plan was at the end of Silent Hill 1, feels more like it was something that Dahlia did intentionally. She knew that pain would be necessary, and burning, essentially crippling Alessa so that she also could continue maintaining control of her through Alchemilla Hospital and through her magic spells. And the fact that there are other cover-ups going on, that they're covering up all of the mysterious deaths in town related to people investigating the drug trafficking. Officer Gucci and the former town mayor, the hotel owner and the person who runs the Indian Runner, saying that they were scared of Kaufman and didn't want to wind up dead, like Officer Gucci and like the mayor. All of that in context. The boiler thing being a cover-up for a fire that was intentionally set by the cult members. And again, yeah, Dahlia's description that Alessa's pain was necessary. Because it feels like if that was something accidental that contributed towards delaying Dahlia's plan, she would have mentioned it as such. She wouldn't describe it as being something necessary for the god's creation. So I've, after many, many years, actually switched around on that theory. You get an achievement for doing that, by the way. If you shoot out all the balloons, the welcome home balloons. Welcome home. Here's your cake. That cake. That is a Resident Evil 7 cake. Anytime, it goes to show how much that sort of stuff leaves an impression with you. Anytime I see like super gross looking food in games or anything like that anymore, my go-to neuron response in my brain is just like, it's Resident Evil 7 food. That game had such gross looking food that just stuck with me. That whole diner scene at the beginning, or dining room scene with the Baker family. Another bottle of Head and Feet for anybody who missed that. We don't have Head and Shoulders. We go to the Dollar General. We get us some Head and Feet. So I can wash my head and my feet. Argyle sweater. Rather see a zombie eating a human than watch them eat that nasty food. I don't know what it is with the newer gen of Resident Evil games and their gross looking food. Or alternatively, well, I guess it depends on how you look at it. There's also the Resident Evil 2 remake, the opening scene, two sides to every story, Bakba Soup's favorite song. When the trucker's eating the big burger. Some people are like, that's the most disgusting burger I've ever seen. My fat ass is like, that's a good looking burger. It's all like, you want a burger to be gross like that. Those are the best fucking ones. Oh yeah, and since I didn't really talk about the welcome home stuff in story context, there's throughout this entire game, from the moment you start the game on the observation deck, there's a sign that says welcome across the fence that's blocking the road. You find graffiti on the wall when you first walk into Woodside Apartments that says welcome. It's the only time up till that point where that word was graffitied anywhere. We have welcome home and the cake written here. A lot of these sort of referencing either James, welcome back to Silent Hill, or to the player who's playing the remake for the first time after playing the original so many years ago, welcome back to Silent Hill. Or in the context of Mary coming back home from the hospital, because she went home. In her letter to James, she mentions she gets sent back home to spend her final days with James. James probably didn't think about killing her immediately. It was probably something that happened more spur of the moment after she had come back home and he was confronted with her being there with him again. But the idea of like, welcome back home, Mary. Been in the hospital for so long. Welcome back. Only for James to kill you. I think that's about everything in here. Been on that side. That a rabbit stain on the wall. Which wall? What stain? In this room? Outside? By the grate. Oh, this, like this? I think it's just the texture of the wall. When you're looking at it from an angle. When you're looking at it and turn light off. Even remember the damn hotkey I have for the flashlight. There it is. I don't think so. I see what you're seeing, like, from this angle. But I think this is a case of pareidolia. Noticing a pattern in a texture or something that is not actually there. It's a very common occurrence. I even have a little segment about it in my Silent Hill 1 iceberg I'm in the process of working on. Somebody also asked in chat how far along that was. So I'm done with recording all the footage, recording all of the narration, like script and everything has been revised and researched over and over to a point where I'm happy with it. So now I'm doing my first pass on editing. I actually started that earlier today. You must think I'm cruel, but this prison is of your own making. The choice was yours. I watched you make it over and over and over again. This time's not going to be any different, and I'll be here, watching. Is it loop theory? Maybe. I don't know. If you want it to be. If not, what does it mean? It could represent some abusive tenant who was living here, who was trapping somebody in this closet. Maybe not literally in this, like, jigsaw torture room that's on the other side. But it could be metaphorical, the same way most of the notes that you find throughout the game are something that parallels events that happen to James and Mary and thematically fits events from his life, but does not fit contextually with bits of story that we know. Like the person who broke the jukebox record. That record that reminded James of Rosewater Park and Mary. Those talk about that person being a janitor who lived in the Saul Street apartments. James and Mary have been to Silent Hill exactly once on vacation. Mary got sick. They went home. Never lived here, and they never came back again. Mary even says, you know, you promised you'd take me here again someday, and you never did. So, like, the notes that you find, I don't think should be taken at face value. I don't think they should be taken literally. Like, the idea of someone making a poor choice over and over, you can apply this to the characters in many ways. You can think about this in terms other than loop theory, although admittedly, it leans very, very heavily towards that theory. But again, I think that's because Bloober wanted to include things that do allude to it, not necessarily that confirm it. They wanted everything to sort of be up to the player, a lot more ambiguous, rather than giving a deliberate, direct answer. There's some food. Different looking pot asset, roast food, Resident Evil food. More breakfast meat in a can. Some whatever this is on the plate. It's like a bone. Some rotted steaks. Something. Moldy bread. Old carrot. Oh, look at that. There's little dishes and stuff inside some of the pots and pans. Thought that was a barcode at first in the back of the fridge. I need a scanner. I think it's just the textures clipping together slightly. Really simple things to eat. I've been eating a lot of carrots since I fixed my diet. I will just, when I feel like snacking and I'm like, I need to eat something healthy, that's been one of my go-tos. Carrots. You're watching. I love all the little, like, scribbles and doodles and stuff on the edges of the paper, some of these notes. The good old, like, making sure this pen works, scribble. Just the mindless, like, sort of doodling. We've also, even just from apartment to apartment, found, like, one apartment has, like, a rotary phone. But then you have ones like this where it's, like, clearly a little bit more, slightly more modern than that. You know, your classic 80s wall mounted curly cord touch tone telephone. Oh, there's a shelf with a unique prop. Just hiding up here in this little corner. Little toy that we haven't seen yet. I think this was a real thing. I remember seeing some other fans who found this and like looked it up a little bit more, and I think it's like a real toy. Maybe it's a specifically like Polish thing. Ambi Toys Cool Cat. It is called the Cool Cat from Ambi Toys, and it's a real thing. Roll the cool little character and watch your child smile. Not an ad, by the way. But these are always kind of neat. I like when they model things in the game after a real toy, a real thing. Something recognizable to someone, you know? Somebody who owns that. Like, whoa, what's it doing in this game? Stuck up on a corner of a shelf where you can't even see it without a cam hack. Cool Cat was released in 1982. Okay. Like I said, we've seen a very wide range of years in terms of things found throughout this game. We found a newspaper that mentions Joe DiMaggio dying in 1999. We found electronics and records that are copyright 1999. VHS tapes had a 1999 copyright. So again, I don't think these sorts of like I've never liked that idea of looking at something in the game and being like in real life that thing didn't exist until X year. A lot of Silent Hill 1 fans do that with Harry's Jeep, where they're like, hey, he drives a Jeep YJ Wrangler. Those came out in 1987, so the game must be in 1987. Like, it's a fictional universe. It's loosely based on reality, like our reality, but who's to say that that particular toy or model or whatever in the reality of Silent Hill, where these games exist in this universe, came out 5 years later or 10 years earlier? I just don't think using that as a point of reference to try to form a timeline makes the most sense. Important loading instructions. Let's spin in circles about it. Nah. There's an interview with Silent Hill 1's director, Keiichiro Toyama, where he specifically says, like, we we did not designate a specific time or place to Silent Hill. Like, that is intentional from the director. to not there's little hints about the time period based on things in the environment and um, where it's located based on little hints and nods, but it never directly states like this is where you are, this is the current date that the events are happening. And I try to respect that aspect of the developers. It's fun to do like the thought experiment of trying to tie all these games together, but they're fictional games. They're fictional games that were not written as a series. They didn't plan 1, 2, and 3, and 4 and write them all out all at the same time to be this big interconnecting story. They made one game, and that game sold well. And then Konami gave them money and said, make another one. And then they made it up after the fact and try to connect it to other things the best they can, reference the other games and other characters and other events. But they weren't designed to be this big, continuous, overarching story that makes a perfect timeline. And yeah, they just, if you're the type of fan who has fun connecting those dots and putting together your fan-made timelines and arguing about them, go for it. I've spent enough of my life researching these games and going down that rabbit hole and basically coming up with nothing, because at the end of it is just the developers saying we didn't give it a name rather we didn't give it a date or a place on purpose. And that's kind of where that ends for me. Clip in the safe. Camera in here. Look at this a little closer. It's an Arathron safe. Not to be confused with Arathorn. Arathron, that is the other name for Aratron, one of the 7 Olympian spirits, which is mentioned in Silent Hill 1. Silent Hill 1 in Nowhere, there's a lot of alchemy, references to real world alchemy in Silent Hill 1, just as a way to have like weird foreign culty concepts kind of tied in with everything. And at the end of the game in Nowhere, there's a bunch of doors you have to open. There's symbols on them and words written on them, like Haggith, Phaleg, and so on. Those are Olympian spirits, which are known throughout alchemy and occultism and various other historical things in real world. And Arathron, or Aratron, is one of those Olympian spirits mentioned in Silent Hill 1. Just as part of that, like, Nowhere thing. Like the detail here. Again, all the textures, the like where the paint is scraped off and you can see the rust underneath from the handle and people's hands and things scraping against this so many times. All the little scuffs and things on the dial. I just can't get over how detailed all these textures and objects are. Whoops. The river flowed right, serene and so clean. The viper zigzagged left, so cruel and mean. And so right I went, my steps short and tense, into a darkness so deep and so dense. I like the variation on the puzzle difficulty, by the way. The changed poems and setups and stuff for rooms like this. One of those things you don't always get. Sometimes in a lot of games, like even when you change difficulty, stuff doesn't really change as much as you would think it would. And sometimes you get like entire new puzzles written. Silent Hill 3 was really good about that, where all the puzzle and riddle difficulties like drastically change each of the puzzles. Of course, you've got the infamous Shakespeare, which isn't the most fair example, but it's still interesting, like how much stuff changes. Look at that doo doo. They rendered some doo doo in the toilet. Called the shit poop. I wanted to look around this toilet because I joke about this being this room like being the jigsaw trap room. And this toilet with the like broken tiles and stuff very much reminds me of the toilet in the first Saw movie. And I wanted to see if maybe they put the little like heart anywhere, because the toilet is marked with like a heart using a fucking shit stain to draw a little heart on it to draw the attention of it. But no, no little hearts. This is why we cam hack, to find poo poo. One of many reasons. Get a nice view of like everything here on the ceiling. So many details in all the drawings and lettering and all of this stuff. Oh, that also reminds me. So you can see there's a lot of repeated characters, particular symbols and drawings in most of these places. And there was actually a fan, somebody on the Silent Hill subreddit, who started making a cipher and trying to translate these symbols to see if they were a message. And it spells out like parts of a Bible verse. Let me see if I can find that. Because I know I saved it in my notes somewhere. So it was a user on subreddit named Tommy Rockbottom. I actually recognize that username too. Tommy has been on Silent Hill forums from like way back in the day. He's put together like timelines and all sorts of stuff for the fandom for the past like 20 years. But he posted like 4 months ago, I cracked the code of the glyphs drawn on the walls of the safe room, and then shared the
cipher and a bunch of images. And it's just a few like bits and pieces that are repeated in these textures all throughout the room. But it's the words sins, the path, righteous man, and another person responded that it was bits and pieces from Ezekiel 25:17. That's the famous Pulp Fiction, Samuel L. Jackson. Ezekiel 25:17, the path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities, the selfish, and the tyranny of evil men. So, possibly a little reference there, but super, super hidden if that's the case. The fact that it would be hidden in like a symbol cipher and then just scattered around this room like that. This is why, like, I don't know. I'm a good Silent Hill fan. I'm good at researching and I'm super invested in like learning things about these games and sharing them with people. I'm not the type of fan where I'm smart enough to figure out like the cipher, the symbols on the walls actually being something, and like how to piece that together. Like, I'm good at research. I'm passionate about research. I'm good at finding information and sharing that information. But I'm very rarely the person who like discovers this type of stuff firsthand. Instead, I'm the person who finds out that the speaker in the corner says rabarbar. I'm like, oh, that's neat. That's funny. I don't know what rabarbar means, but there it is in the game. Man, I could literally spend hours just in this room. There's so many little details trying to trace all these little lines. How would you even figure? I'm also thinking about that now. Like, how would you figure out this cipher? There's not a single situation where you can attribute like a symbol to a letter. Not that I see. Like, if it gave you some, even one small example of an interchanged letter or something like that, you can kind of work from there, but there's like nothing like that. It's just symbols. Genius stuff. But like I said, Tommy Rockbottom. Not surprising that that was Tommy figuring this stuff out. I said Tommy's been a Silent Hill genius, figuring things out for the community for a long time. I like the difference in this puzzle, how you have different things highlight for each of the numbers. It's moved around at different positions in the room. if you're playing on normal or if you're playing on hard, this will be different. This will be different. The numbers, the actual solution, I'm pretty sure is always the same. I think it's 15, 11, 13. Yeah, there's the snake. There's 11. Rhabarbar is just rhubarb in Polish. Okay. Bloober team is based out of Poland, so that makes sense. I mean, sort of. I don't know why they would call that speaker rhubarb, but sure. Things being in Polish makes sense, at least. Old man coin. James still has the ooze on his hand from Saul Street Apartments. Periodically just checking that whenever we zoom out and look at these. Easter egg here. The same Easter egg that was in Silent Hill 2 OG. So on the coins, there are messages written. And those messages are written in Japanese, translated into English, and then typed out using a font called symbol font. So if you start from like the left side of the coin and go around clockwise, in symbol font, this is Tugiha, which is a slight mistranslation of the Japanese word or phrase tsugiwa. So in Japanese, tsu can also be written as tu, and ha can also be written as wa. So that would give us tsugiwa, which means up next is. It's basically before a list of things or people, and this is a list of people. So the first one on here is Eiichi, written out in symbol font. Eiichi Ito was the item designer for Silent Hill 2, the original. Not for the remake, but for the OG Silent Hill 2, Eiichi Ito designed the coins, the health drinks, like all the items and icons that go into your inventory. That was Eiichi Ito. So Tsugi wa Eiichi, Toshiko, Rinta, and Asuma and Zante. So these are either the names of devs who also worked on the game along with Eiichi Ito. They could be friends or family of Eiichi Ito. It's not confirmed who they are. There's nobody on the credits with those names other than Eiichi himself. But yeah, that's an Easter egg from the original Silent Hill 2 that Bloober Team kept when they made the coin models for this. Again, those little details, props to them for keeping that kind of stuff in. Steel key. He's not. Oh, there it is. I was about to say he's not doing the pinky thing when we pick stuff up anymore, but keys, he does that. The elegant pinky. Second floor, small staircase key. There's that same Toluca build and renovation tag on it that we saw on the lock. Gives you an idea what that key goes to. A chair with a stained tarp. Just stuff like this. Just duct tape, chair, blood, tarp. Clearly something bad was going on here. But just the environmental storytelling, giving you the implication of something. The torture scene from Max Payne happened here. Yeah, right? Reservoir Dogs. Stuck in the middle with you. Here's the vacuum. We saw one of these in another spot. 666 made in hell. The cleaning Lux with edge brushing. A skull. Super clean. I love the satanic vacuum. Things hiding around there. Oh yeah. You got the duct tape, the bloody tarp and all that, and then you've also got the big bags of trash in the corner. Could be unrelated. There's lots of trash laying around these apartments. The little tins, we saw one of these. Like your tea, your coffee, your chili powder. Your Monsterizer blender. One's in bad shape compared to the other ones we saw. Oh, excuse me. Opens back up to here. The map, make sure I'm not missing anything cool. Any rooms, any potential hidden things. At this point, Pyramid Head is gone. Have you ever tried to use the Silent Hill ambient soundtracks to try and sleep? I love it. So, I can't really. I have a hard time sleeping with music on. Usually, I have to have like other stuff, like a video or like a podcast or something else. Before I started really streaming and stuff on Twitch, I really started doing this full time around 2015. Up until that point, and a little bit the first year or so when I was streaming as well, I was working as a musician. I've been a musician pretty much my whole life. So when I listen to music, I tend to think about it. I kind of analyze it. I think about the composition of it, and it keeps my brain too busy. Especially music that I'm really familiar with, like Silent Hill soundtracks. Because I also play a lot of these songs. I know how to play them on piano or guitar. My friend and moderator for this chat, Hirimi, longtime friend, we used to play open mics and perform stuff like Theme of Laura. So I think about music too much. It keeps my brain active. So it's hard for me to like sleep when I have music on, even if it's like really relaxing music. I gotta put on like videos that I'm familiar with that I can just tune out. You know, I watch a lot of like Red Letter Media and things like that, or podcasts and stuff like that if I'm trying to sleep. Nice bike. Dre? Or? OREDRE? Dr. Dre? EOR? What is that cute little thing? It looks like a little character. Like a Binding of Isaac ice cream. You know those ice creams with the gumball eyes that are always fucked up? Like in the wrong places? Reminds me of one of those. Being rendered. Also, I'm just trying to think of other stuff when I'm trying to sleep. Not even a joke, but Bach did raid me earlier, and I'm not just saying this because he raided me, but I do watch Bach's stream a lot when I'm trying to relax. I like Bach's channel. He's one of the few people on Twitch that I still watch after all these years. A lot of times I don't get to catch him live, though, so I usually watch the VODs when I'm trying to sleep. All right. About time to meet Eddie. Let's clip on in there. Hell, can I teleport in there? Will this automatically trigger the cutscene? Uh, I don't want to. I don't want to trigger it by accident, but I want to clip James in there to see with a flashlight. Let's see what happens. It's probably going to wind up triggering the cutscene. Okay, you can see a little bit. It's super dark. But Eddie's not physically rendered in there just yet. Oh, I can clip him in like this and keep the game paused and it doesn't trigger. There we go. Invisible Eddie puking. That attention to detail. Fucking disgusting toilet. The dynamo water heater, I guess? Oh, even if I resume the game while I'm in here. There's collision. I can't actually walk through him as though he's there, even though he's not visibly rendered until you trigger the cutscene. I can walk everywhere else, I can't walk through here. Kudos to Eddie's Japanese voice actor, too. Damn. Okay, let's teleport back out of there. Finish looking at some other stuff here. We've got a body in the fridge. Get a better look who this is. It's some guy. It's not James. The nose shape is different. The face shape is different. Because we just saw the James corpse in the other room, the one under the sheet in front of the TV. And he's got a very distinct, like, facial structure. This one is not James. This is the, like, one of the first human corpses you see that's not James. And this is actually something from the original Silent Hill 2 as well, where Eddie's victims are distinctly different models from James's manifested corpses of himself. And once you actually confront Eddie later on in the labyrinth where you fight him, you're sort of seeing James and Eddie's other worlds, their different perceptions of reality overlap with each other. Where Eddie's been perceiving this bully that's been tormenting him, and James has been manifesting these corpses of himself. And then when you get into the room where you fight Eddie, there's James corpses all around that Eddie is talking to as though they are his bully. So it's meant to give you that idea that both of these characters are seeing something there that's manifested, but they're perceiving it in completely different ways. And you're seeing it like overlap when they confront each other. So I like that they kept this kind of detail to make Eddie's victims distinct from just being another James corpse. Is there a consensus on whether or not Eddie killed this man? Is he lying or telling the truth about the body? Well, there's a few different ways to go with that. So, Masahiro Ito has commented and said that Eddie never killed any actual people. He only killed the dog and he only injured a football player, shot them in the leg, but that he never killed any real people. Now, these are not real people. These are manifestations, parts of the town. Bullies being manifested to torment Eddie. The same way creatures are being manifested to torment James, just differently. So, I personally think that Eddie killed this person. I think that Eddie has been killing the manifestations pretty much from this point and then onward. I think him throwing up is like the natural reaction of having killed somebody. A lot of soldiers and people who've gone to war and had to kill have often commented in interviews and stuff in real life that killing somebody is a hugely traumatic event, and a lot of times you're going to have very violent physical reaction to it, unless you're just like a complete psychopath, which Eddie eventually becomes, but I think he's pushed to that point by how he's dealing with these manifestations. I don't think he's necessarily at that point here. He was tormented enough to kill this person, maybe intentionally or unintentionally, but he's still having that visceral reaction. He feels like he's killed someone, and he's throwing up. He's way too quick to deny it to James. The whole "thou doth protest too much" sort of side of things. And we see, obviously, as the game goes on, he becomes less and less worried about sort of hiding it. Because by the time you see the victim in the prison cafeteria, Eddie pretty much flat out admits it until James pressures him on it. And then he's like, it's just a joke. Like, then he tries to backtrack over it. Also, roast beef. Lakeview Farms roast beef. Absolutely delish. Got some apple juice. Got some fresh salmon, some solid white tuna. Raspberries in a can. Some rare tuna, chunk light tuna in olive oil. Tuna, they were big on tuna. Carrots? Rotted carrots? Or intestines? These kind of look like the carrot texture that we saw in the other apartment. If I can get a little more light on it. Yeah. Rotted carrots. Just sort of meat chunks. Sorry, I know we're dealing with Eddie just puking while I'm looking at all this stuff, but there's a lot to look at. And he's not going to stop anytime soon. All Stars Pizza, same brand of pizza that Eddie was eating in the bowling alley in the original Silent Hill 2. They switched that out for the remake. Instead of a bowling alley, you encounter him in a theater, and he's eating strawberry ice cream instead of pizza. There's our butter cake, the classic original Silent Hill 2 background prop, faithfully recreated for the Silent Hill 2 remake. I love it. Buttercake was an equipable item in Silent Hill Book of Memories on the Vita. Like, this is a deep cut, but real fans know about Buttercake. Also some Polish dumplings. Again, Bluebird, Polish studio. Lots of Polish whiskey and Polish dumplings around this normal American town. Vice biscuits. Chocolate sandwich biscuits. That's also another thing you can immediately tell. We don't call these biscuits. In America, they're cookies. Biscuits are something else entirely. It's just funny seeing those little things that, like, because they're not an American studio, there's a lot of things that are distinctly Polish or sort of European in the way that they're presented. Nutto. Okay, Eddie.
誰だ君は。俺じゃない。違うんだ。俺は何もしてないんだ。おい、大丈夫か。俺は何もしてない。あれは最初からあったんだ。あれ？ああ、あの男のことか。キッチンの。何もやってない。俺は人殺しなんてしない。大丈夫。やったとは思ってない。私はジェームス。ジェームス・サンダーランド。エディだな。君はここに住んでるのか。いや、この町の人間じゃないんだ。だから用があってここに。まあそんなとこだ。で、奴らがやってきて、わけもわからず逃げてたらここに来た。安全だと思ったのに冷蔵庫の中に奴が。落ち着こう。深呼吸だ。なあ、ここも安全じゃないみたいだ。奴らも町全体も何かがおかしい。早く出た方がいいと思う。ああ、その通りだな。あんたも行くか。一緒にこの町から出ようぜ。一緒には行けない。今はまだ人を探してて。そう。じゃあエディ、気をつけて。ああ、あんたも。
I love the comments. Keep forgetting it's Japanese this time. 私はジェームズ。
エディ、なあ、大丈夫か。ああ、多分。
So now that we've now that we've actually triggered the cutscene with Eddie, now if we clip in there, he is actually still in the bathroom. He's physically there now. Oink. Teleport in there with him. Japanese dub makes it more unsettling. Did you get to watch the corpse? We looked at the corpse in the fridge. You can check the VOD if you missed it. But we looked at it. It was like one of the first things we checked out. There we go. Here's a perspective. What it's like to be the toilet that Eddie is puking in. Was it a James corpse? No. Just like in the original Silent Hill 2. Eddie's victims, his manifestations, are distinctly not James corpses until their other worlds overlap in their final confrontation. And he's wearing a Western Maine wolf pack. Go wolf pack. Three wolf moon. It is three wolves and a moon. Western Maine wolf pack. That would have been great if it was actually the three wolf moon, like, artwork. I love that artwork so much. I have my own merch called Three Meowsin' Moon, where it's a parody of that with my cat, my big old fat orange cat, Harry Meowsin'. Check out my Design by Humans link below if you would like your own Three Meowsin' Moon shirt or hoodie. Shameless plug. I have merch. Cat has the best name, Harry Meowsin'. The little chatterbox. Well, he's a big chatterbox. Cute. That's cool. Also, more Maine confirmation. Quite a bit of that in the remake. I'm locked in. And we've got a lot of stuff in here, just like in the original game. Right across from Eddie, you sort of get little glimpses of things that are relevant to the characters in the environment where you meet them. Same thing with Angela. But just like that with Eddie, Eddie shot a football player in the leg, and in the room right across from him is all of this like football paraphernalia. You've got the helmet, football itself, certificate of participation, names and stuff are all scuffed out. Football posters. They had similar posters in the original Silent Hill 2. It was an edited poster of Emmitt Smith from the Dallas Cowboys. As a native Texan, I'm obligated to say, fuck the Cowboys. I actually was a Cowboys fan back in the 90s and stuff when I was a kid. I very much got out of football as an interest by the time I was pretty much through high school, but Cowboys used to be a big deal. 80s and 90s Cowboys. Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman, Deion Sanders. That era. Football, Super Bowl. Not the Super Bowl. Super Bowl. The helmet matches the car decal. Yeah, we found little stickers. Found some stickers on Eddie's van at the very beginning of the game. Or what's implied to be Eddie's van, anyway. 1985 antenna. Football, power sport. Again, these are basically recreations. They're slightly different images, but still made in kind of the same style with a lot of the same text as the posters in the original Silent Hill 2. Great details. Another little fold-out bed, similar to the one that we saw with the stain, the human-shaped stain on it. This one might also have a stain. You can see kind of like the head here. The rest is just covered by the blanket. I'm still surprised at how much they render for like the frames of the beds and stuff where you don't even see anything. Same newspapers we've been seeing. Insurance prices, anything hiding in the drawers? No. But yeah, lots of things related to Eddie around where you meet him. The abundance of food, the pizza boxes and spoiled food, the fridge itself, the corpse representing one of his victims or his bully, the football stuff referencing the player that he shot in the leg. It's an Eggy. Good old Eggy computer. Working something. Got both kind of floppy drives. And a K-Seroc, SERKSEROC printer 105C. Hospital written on it. So this was probably an asset made for Brookhaven. that's just been pasted in here. Maybe they bought this one used from the hospital. They bought it at that yard sale, the community yard sale that was being advertised. Going on in the parking lot in Midwich. That's a note that we found in yesterday's stream. Another Magarox instead of a Magnavox. Seen that one a few times around. Nice bright red couch. Got another painting hidden behind a thing? No. Just swipes and stuff through the dirt. Already found one painting kind of hiding behind reflective glass. Now I'm curious about checking a lot of other spots like that, see if there's more. As far as I know, it's just that one, but who knows? There might be other ones that hadn't been discovered. Kind of like pulling the camera way back and playing with these like super wide FOVs sometimes. The fisheye lens. Like a skateboard video. Maybe not that far. Snake coin. We actually looked at this at one of the previous streams. We clipped the camera out here to look at this coin. Just like the old man coin, it's got the Easter egg in symbol font written around the edge of it. Tsugi wa Eichi Toshiko Rinta Asuma Zate. Same as OG. Something very unsettling about the old, stained baby stroller in the pool. Just like with the OG, but now there's just even more detail to it. It has the, like, indentation still. You have kind of a baby-shaped stain / indentation there. How rusted the frame and everything looks. The wheels and stuff are all like corroded, peeling, rubbery plastic material. A lot of random trash and stuff strewn in here. Most of this is trash assets that we've already seen. Life preserver. Unique graffiti here as well. So a lot of fog. Moments where you actually kind of get outside, but you're still indoor. The fog really rolls in thick. And yeah, this is where, playing around with it yesterday, I broke the game slightly. Turns out the game doesn't like it if you clip through here and try to just skip the apartments. I'm like, yeah, let's just go over here where Laura is. And things start de-rendering. If you teleport James out here, it kind of starts like unloading stuff. I'm gonna try not to crash the game here at the very end. I say at the very end because I'm gonna need to find a save point and wrap up stream here soon. Showed this during the last stream, but since we've got a lot more people here watching today, also got this Silent Hill map. This is the original Silent Hill 2 map. They slightly changed the layout of the town, some of the ways the streets connect, some of the locations for buildings and how they are. So like compared to our actual town map, I don't even know if it lets me... Yeah, here we go. So here's the remake version of the map. This. Inside of James's face. So yeah, remake version of the map. Toluca Lake up there. Nathan Avenue coming up this way. Box Road coming down this way. You can see the position of Blue Creek Apartments and Woodside Apartments has been turned this way, and it's like parallel compared to the OG Silent Hill 2 map. A little bit less of a curve on Nathan Avenue, Box Road coming down here, Blue Creek and Woodside, a little bit more separate. Just the visual differences, slight visual differences between the OG map and the remake map, but I like that they included the old map here just as this little thing. That opens back up here. So this is where we're going to call it tonight. Covered a lot of stuff today. Getting through the Woodside Apartments. We're actually almost done with Woodside. About to go to Blue Creek Apartments next time. So basically the Otherworld Apartments. So that'll be a lot of stuff to look at, a lot of stuff to explore, a lot of parallels between stuff we've already seen in Woodside that's going to be shown in those versions. So, yeah. But that is it for me for tonight. I need to go fix something for dinner. May or may not stream this weekend. I'm probably gonna try and take this weekend to recuperate, take care of some things around the house, and most likely I will be back Monday. I think Monday is gonna be the day. Music. Just very quiet. So I think Monday. This past week I've been typically starting stream around 9. Yoshio, thank you for the raid. We're actually wrapping up stream right now, but thank you so much, Yoshio. I appreciate it. But yeah, I'm gonna try and take it easy this weekend. I had a couple rough health days this week, but overall felt pretty good coming back to streaming. Thank you all again so much for all the love and support today. A lot of new folks here from Bakba Soup's raid. If you've been hanging out, enjoying the stream, please drop a follow. This is pretty much all I do. I'm also on YouTube, so if you want to catch up on everything that we've looked at so far, if you want to check out some other free cam playthroughs of like the original Silent Hill 2 or Silent Hill 3, I've done that before. I've done super in-depth just story playthroughs of all the games in the series, even the weird spin-off stuff. So if you're down with some Silent Hill nerding, this is definitely a cool place to be. But yeah, thanks again to Bakba Soup. Thank you, Yoshio, everybody who raided, everybody who came by and subbed or gift subbed. Went out to the community, a lot of good stuff today. Really, really just generous and amazing support from you all. So really, really appreciate that, you guys. I'll have the VODs up. This will be on the archive channel in a few hours for anybody who wants to catch it from the beginning, and I'll have the edited version on the main channel tomorrow. Yeah, that's gonna be it though. Thank you guys so much again. Have a great weekend. I'll see you all Monday night. Like I said, I've been starting around 9 p.m. I might start a little bit earlier going forward. But we'll see. Till then, have a great weekend. Much love. Be good to each other. Peace.